Let's begin.
Man, am I hungry. Oh, well, never mind. Looks like that's gone bad. Oh, hey there, scary story fanatics. Welcome back to Cleaving Thought from Bone with your host, Sociopathic. Thanks for returning like the dead for another epic Saturday story. Don't worry about my hunger pains. Sometimes eating too much hurts the most, even psychologically. So, grab a gory bag of your favorite value meal and prepare to indulge in a tasty terror tale that I like to call Unhappy Meal.
Ever gone somewhere and have the weirdest shit happen to you? I mean, something totally unexpected. Like being high as hell and seeing a police car get into a head-on collision at about 30 feet from where you're standing as you're walking down the road type of shit. Which has also happened to me, by the way. But trust me when I tell you, I've got another story that will top them all. Or at least, any I've heard up until this point. And I suppose that if any of you can, I'd probably rather not hear it. So, if you're ready to see the civilized world in a completely different way forever, here it goes. To the resentment of most, I work in an office, constantly enveloped within the embrace of weather controls, AC in the summer, heat in the winter. Now, most people that I know of think that this means that I work and live a somewhat pampered life. Though I don't argue, as one presented with a finer luxury or two will find it difficult, to say the least, to claim strife. The grass is always greener, and my career has more than its fair share of stress and challenge. To put it plainly, what's good about being able to eat at your desk when you literally get so busy and have so much to do that you honestly forget to eat anyway? Combine that with long 10 to 12 hour days. Is it really worth air conditioning? As I ask myself, I suppose, it would depend on who you are. Honestly, I love it. Not because of any of the perks, like air conditioning, but because I get to work with people. Although, there is one other perk I enjoy: having an hour for lunch. You might think that someone with so much time to eat would spend it, eating? Well, that's not me. What I do on my lunch breaks is, so much more thrilling than eating and satisfying my hunger pains. Schoolwork. Yup, on top of it all, I also go to college online, full-time, mind you. So, to say I'm a busy person is probably one of the biggest understatements you could make, other than calling Hiroshima a small hiccup in history, involving some relatively large firecrackers. So, in order to meet the demands of attending college on my lunch break via online service while simultaneously grabbing a quick bite to eat, I frequent the local McDonald's. Fast food and free Wi-Fi, perfect. Okay, so it's probably not the best thing for my health, but that's an argument I'll save for my wife. I need as much firepower and stamina as I can to win those arguments anyway. But I will say this: at this branch, the service is always timely and positive. The employees are always upbeat, and I do see them often. So often, actually, that I've begun to learn them all by name, and they by mine. For the last couple of weeks, I'd been stopping in, up until the point where I've stopped eating there. I'd begun to notice an increase in the speed of service. It was almost like they had begun to anticipate my coming in every day at the same time and would preemptively make up my order before I had even arrived. I did find out later that this was actually the case. It wasn't like the food had gone bad or was too old or anything. It was as if they had literally just been made only seconds before I walked in the door, waiting for me to make my order and pay my bill. This wasn't an arrangement I disliked. On the contrary, it was actually quite conducive to the busy lifestyle I have outlined for you earlier. All that much more time to get a jump on the day's college quota, and maybe leave enough time to head outside and grab a vape before heading back into the office. Yeah, I'm a vapor. This place does have to compete with a Taco Bell next door and a Burger King across the street. They were just as likely trying to ensure that they retained my continual daily business. At least, that's what I figured. So, at first, it was just an arrangement that I was at first just happy to oblige by. Looking back, I guess that was a pretty poor decision. But there were no warning signs of anything wrong. And the days progressed as usual, with me headed back to the office on a full belly of double cheeseburgers and french fries, the remnants of the accompanying soda always making it back to my desk at the office, a testament to another productive and unrestful lunch break. Well, some days passed like this, weekdays anyway. I'd toil away the morning over work orders, issues with sales volume, and verifying invoices, before heading out to the Double Arches for a quick McDouble meal and college, all to return and toil away the afternoon without so much as respite in between. But one Wednesday afternoon, everything changed. Flashing lights were the first sign of something wrong, though I didn't know, nor could I know, that the ordeal had anything to do with me. Even though the office is only a few hundred yards from the McDonald's, and it likely would have been good for me to walk. I always drive. Seeing the police cruisers in the parking lot, I slowed and assessed the situation, and it appeared as if the entire restaurant was closed off, completely encircled by a band of black and yellow police tape that fluttered in the slight breeze. The lot was swarming with all kinds of suits and uniforms, but when they brought an employee out the front door, hands cuffed behind his back, my curiosity piqued. Robert, the young man who served me my lunch nearly every single day, was being led from the building by two uniformed officers and what I assumed to be a detective, due to the suit that he was wearing. What the hell's going on? Was the only thought in my mind, at least for that moment. No matter what's going on, when you're hungry, your stomach has no problem telling you. So, creeping by, I began to focus my attention on the drive leading from the lot so I could head across the street to the competitor, Burger King. Going to Taco Bell would have been easier, as it was right next door and adjoined to the lot that I was currently in, but Mexican food doesn't tend to agree with me, so I opted for some flame-broiled goodness instead. Rolling to a stop and eyeing the lot across the road, my eyes were met with an astonishing sight yet again. Burger King had no tape around its entrances and had civilian cars in the lot, but there were a few cruisers over there as well. In one hand, I did want to find out what was going on, and I don't really like Taco Bell, but in the other, I also smoke a lot of pot, and cops make me nervous as hell, even when I don't have anything on me, which I did at the time. I made a right from the lot as soon as the traffic allowed and turned immediately, once again, into the Taco Bell parking lot. Better the shits than the fuzz. The air conditioning in the establishment wasn't quite as efficient as the AC at the office, but accommodating nonetheless. I unwrapped my beef taco supreme. Yup, if you're gonna go big. and picked up a heaping pile of meat, beans, cheese, and God knows what else, and stuffed a corner of it into my mouth, taking a large bite. As I chewed, I noticed that two of the employees behind the counter were chuckling amongst each other. This didn't bother me, at least until their short, sideways glances and hushed words that were clearly made quiet because of me let me know that I was the center of whatever pun was now being communicated. It's not like there was anyone else around me, only a single businessman on the other side of the partition behind me, and a mother with 2 children in the side section near to the bathrooms. Slow for a lunch hour, for sure, but with the increased police presence and so many better choices to grab a meal nearby, it was understandable. But still, I had to know what these 2 guys were laughing at, and if I was indeed a part of it. I set my 2-pound collage of calories down onto the table and stood to my feet, wiping both my face and my hands with a napkin. As I approached them, their words fell silent and unspoken. I closed the distance and spoke up anyway, whether they would tell me or not. "Hey guys, I was just curious. What are you laughing at?" I questioned. "Oh, it's nothing. Just something we saw on TV last night, that's all," the first one replied. "Well, actually, it's because..." The second one started, but was jabbed by an elbow before he could finish. After such, they both turned their attention to me. They had just let the cat out of the bag, and they knew it. They had to tell me now, and I could tell that they were about to, but really didn't want to. After looking at one another, one mentioned for me to lean in closer over the counter. I obliged. "Listen, I'll tell you, but you can't say anything to anyone. At least, not that we told you, okay?" The taller of the two, the first one who said anything to me, stated. I hesitated for a moment, pondering his proposition, but only a second later, I nodded up and down in agreement. So, here began my journey of investigation, piecing together what the two told me with the rumors flying around at work and the information provided by the police to the respective media outlets. In order to save you the broken pieces of the story, elements to be dismissed, and descriptions of about a week's worth of legwork, driven by my own curiosity, I'll just provide you with the end result. The story of what happened that caused the shutdown of one restaurant and nearly the closing of another. Apparently, the guy from McDonald's, let's call him Person A, happened to be pretty good friends with, well, we'll call him Brad for Person B, who worked at the Burger King across the street. The story I compiled told me that neither of these 2 guys were really the best of people, both of which kind of lowlives outside of work. To paint a picture, the 2 frequently did business together selling drugs and cutting product to increase their profit margins. Well, about a week before the shakedown, a deal had apparently gone horribly wrong, and a potential buyer of theirs ended up shot dead. The smell coming from behind the Burger King was what prompted the police report to begin with. But what they discovered was more deplorable than anyone could conceive. The duo worked out a plan with one another to dispose of the body. The majority of the corpse would be refrigerated and kept at the Burger King. Apparently, Brad happened to be management and could hide a body without anyone knowing. During off hours, Brad would process the flesh from the body into burger patties to be sold, you guessed it, at McDonald's to customers. Yeah, this meant I had actually been consuming human flesh for the past few weeks. It's the reason my food was ready as soon as I walked through the front door. You want to know what really bothers me, though? If they hadn't been arrested, and had their diabolical plan unraveled, I would have never have known. McDonald's, no matter where you go in the world, essentially tastes the same. And those burgers, fashioned from human flesh, were indistinguishable from McDonald's trademark flavor and tasted completely genuine. So, what does McDonald's really put in their burgers? Or rather, who?
So, if the person I intend to eat is running away, would that be considered fast food? If so, grinning at the thought of slaughter is just service with a smile. But don't grab your doggy bag just yet. Remember to check in again next weekend for some more feasting on fear. And until then, remember to like, share, subscribe, and turn on notifications so I can catch you all for dinner again next Saturday.